welcome to the Doctor's Life Podcast with Dianne Ansari-Winn, MD. Dr. Dianne is a stress and burnout coach for doctors. With her 15 years of experience as an anesthesiologist and certification as a physician development coach, Dr. Dianne coaches doctors on how to live a rich life of purpose, fulfillment, freedom, and happiness both at work and at home. In this podcast, Dr. Dianne brings together doctors and researchers that are experts in health, wellness, stress, and burnout, as well as doctors that have been successful in clinical practice, academics, non-clinical careers, and business to share their expertise and life experience so that you can live your own life purpose, fulfillment, freedom, and happiness. To get free access to a PDF and video of easy and proven strategies that melt stress away and keep it away, simply register at www.dianneansari-winn.com. That's www.dianneansari-winn.com. Now here is your host, Dr. Dianne Ansari-Winn.
Hi, it's Dr. Dianne here, and I have a quick request before we jump into the show. If you like this podcast, it would mean so much if you took just a moment to hop over to iTunes, write a review, and rate the show. That is how other people will find the show and get the same great value from it that I hope that you're getting. It just takes a few moments to click a star rating and write a quick note. Now, on to the show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Doctor's Life Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Dianne Ansari-Winn, and today we're going to be trying out a new format where I'm not doing an interview. I'm going to be presenting a topic. Today we're going to be talking about energy management, managing your energy as opposed to managing your time. I thought I'd try this new format where I present topics of interest, things that have come up for myself. I've worked through my own burnout and recovery from burnout over the last 5 years, things that I've discovered to regain my vitality, and things that have come up for my clients as well, things that I find that were interesting that may not be covered in the interviews. And we'll still continue to do interviews as we go along on the Doctor's Life podcast. I want to continue to provide great content for you guys. And please let me know what you think. And as always, continue to send in your comments to Dianne at DianneAnsari-Winn.com, or you can connect with me through my website. There's a contact page there at DianneAnsari-Winn.com, or connect with me as well at my website for the Physician Vitality Institute, which I founded in order to support you all. So that's www.physicianvitalityinstitute.com. And there's a contact page on that website as well. Well, today we're going to talk about energy management, which is a topic that I love because I use it every day. Looking at energy management as opposed to time management, right? So looking at how do I manage my day, my month, my year. Usually the first thing that people do is they pull out a schedule and they start looking at what they need to do that day. And what I invite you to do is to start considering and looking at your day, your month, your year, your life, actually, in terms of managing energy, meaning that keeping in mind the things that deplete our energy and things that replenish our energy, and looking at balancing those things in our life so that we achieve balance in our life, better work-life integration, and looking at things in terms of what energizes me, what makes me feel good, what makes me feel happy, what gives me so much joy, and what do I like to do when I get out of bed in the morning. And those are things that energize us. and they can vary depending on the person. For some people it's exercise, for some people it's meditation. So many things that can energize us. Just looking at a picture of our kids or our dog, or receiving a text message, or listening to a favorite song. So many things that energize us. And then there's things that can deplete us, and those can be things that just kind of bring our energy down. So for some people it's waiting in traffic, some people it's being in a long meeting, or getting news that's sad and dealing with that. So many things that can deplete our energy as well. The interesting thing about that, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, is that things that energize us and things that deplete us are different for each person. So we'll have a great discussion about that today. It's a topic that as I mentioned, I like a lot, and I talk about quite a bit. I had the pleasure of presenting a talk around this at the American Medical Student Association meeting here in Chicago last week, talking to undergraduates, medical students, and some physicians about these ideas. And I just think it's so revolutionary that of the topics that I thought I would present to you, these sort of solo riffs on various topics, this is the first one that I thought of presenting to you all. So how does one manage your energy and not your time, and why is it even important? Well, as I mentioned before, work-life balance versus work-life integration, right? So when we're thinking about work, some people tend to think of work as being like, well, that's something that I do so that I can get to the fun stuff. And the idea is, if you're thinking about time management, then yes, like I work from 8 to 6, and then I go home, and then I get to have my fun time. Well, if you're starting to think more about work-life integration and energy management, so thinking about things that energize you versus and depleting you, now you can start to look at things a little bit more playfully. I'll say on my drive to work, I love to listen to music, and so I'm going to listen to my favorite music on the way to work. And so by the time you get to work, you're feeling energized. And maybe you get to work and you're like, you have this favorite nurse that you like to work with, and they energize you. So as you can see, it's not as black and white if you start to look at it in terms of things that energize you and things deplete you. It's a completely different lens to view life through. And then it allows you to manage your day in a different way. So it takes away labels of things that are work versus things that are play. It allows you to bring more joy, vitality, and fun into your day. Those are things that I look for, and I hope by the end of this talk you'll be looking for them too. So, one more thing. So where does this all come from? Well, the first I had heard about it or read about it was a few years ago. Actually, I was at work, and one of my coworkers presented this idea about energy management, and she had used as the basis for her talk an article that had been written in the Harvard Business Review about 10 years ago, actually. And that article was entitled Manage Your Energy, Not Your Time. In that article, they talked about 4 dimensions of energy, and since then I've done a lot of reading about it, including reading a book entitled The Power of Rest, which is by, what's the author's name? Matthew Edlund, I believe. And he adds another dimension. So I like that, and so I've created a combination of resources. So I look at personal energy in 5 dimensions. And those 5 dimensions are social, mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional. The social dimension of personal energy is creating social connections to relax you, rejuvenate you, and create more personal support. It's so amazing how much a social connection can really give us in terms of replenishing our energy. And of course, you have to be careful about who you connect with. Some people that you connect with can deplete your energy. But we're looking at the positive ways to improve and uplift your energy. Another dimension of personal energy is mental. So these are techniques of calm and relaxed concentration that would allow you to become more focused and accomplish more. Third dimension of personal energy is spiritual. So ways of connecting with your heart and with things that are larger and greater than ourselves to create more internal balance. When I was presenting this topic last week, someone had mentioned that does it have to be like a religious practice? No, the things that can improve our energy in this dimension, in the spiritual dimension, are things that when you feel something in your heart and it opens your heart. So it can be looking at a picture of your kids, or it can be a gratitude practice. It can be connecting with nature. Anything that opens your heart and connects with something that's bigger than us can replenish us in the spiritual dimension of personal energy. Then there's also the physical dimension of personal energy. So focusing on your body to decrease stress in the body. So that could be quiet things like walking or stretching or yoga or resting even. How about just putting your head down for a little while or taking a nap, exercise, things that decrease stress in our body. Emotional energy is diffusing negative emotions and fueling positive ones. So I do a talk about this, or I'll add that to our list of topics hopefully in the future, where we talk about emotional, personal energy, and how to have practical emotional intelligence where we learn how to diffuse negative emotions and fuel positive emotions. So important. So in terms of creating vitality and renewal in these 5 dimensions, we'll just go over them one by one and talk about the ways that we can create more vitality and renewal in these dimensions. So first, the social dimension. So again, those are social connections to relax, rejuvenate, and create more personal support. This is a really powerful way of creating more vitality and renewing your energy. This is supported by the literature as well. There was a group at Mayo Clinic, and groups of physicians would get together and just share a meal together. Get together, I think it was every 2 weeks, and they would meet at a restaurant and just talk. And it sounds so old school, right? It sounds like something that is like a throwback to old times, but they found that it was really powerful in diminishing feelings of burnout and stress, and also created such amazing connections for these doctors that initially they did it as a pilot project, I believe, and then they kept that going over time. Ways that we can do that are sharing meals, just having, a coffee even with our colleagues or with our staff, with our friends, social gatherings, of course, parties, get-togethers, things with friends and family, phone calls, which are becoming fewer and further between, and at least for me, given that we're doing a lot more texting and messaging and emailing, but I got to tell you that hearing someone's voice can be so powerful, and I've even taken to, and I enjoy sending voice text messages. Because to hear the person's voice, even if they're saying basically the same thing that they would have said, but instead of like LOL, you actually hear them laughing, and I really enjoy that, and it's really fun. So other things that create vitality and renewal in the social dimension is touch. So that handshake and pat on the arm being as probably as least intimate as possible to becoming more intimate. So hugs, or hug your kids, hug your family, hug your friends. Hugging a pet has been shown to renew us and relax us. Social media, well, it just depends on, just use that prudently If you're using it as a substitute, really connecting with somebody, then I don't necessarily recommend it. But if you're finding that that is a way to relax you and rejuvenate you and connect with others, since it's on the social dimension, then it's a great way to do that. I'd already mentioned the relationship with colleagues, and I just wanted to mention that again because I think sometimes what can happen is that when we're looking at work versus play, right, that we're thinking like, okay, there's work, and that's where like I be like professional and I don't necessarily connect that much, versus, you know, other dimensions or other parts of our life where we connect with family and friends. And it's been shown in the literature, and I think most of you can second this in your own life, that developing relationships with our colleagues is really important, and it helps to ground us. It helps us to feel more connected to our work. It helps us to have a lot more purpose in our work, to be able to talk with our colleagues so that you're together on a common mission instead of just feeling like you're just there and you just do your work and go home. So that's the social dimension of personal energy, how to create vitality and renewal in the social dimension. Now let's talk about the mental dimension. So these are techniques of relaxed concentration, ways to become more focused and accomplish more. And I should mention that, you know, these techniques aren't, the expectation would be, or what I would hope that you guys would do is, is pick one or two, you know, from each category, and then just try to start using it more like throughout your day and not just wait for home. The idea is to bring more play and more joy and more energy, more vitality to your work. So anyway, let's move forward and talk about the mental techniques. So one thing is focusing on one thing at a time. In today's age of multitasking and trying to get it all done, this can get lost, but it's really important to focus on one thing at a time. I think you'll try it, you'll find that you actually get things done more efficiently and your head is so much more clear. And everybody knows that the literature shows that multitasking doesn't work. You can't completely focus as well as you could on the one task, on the second task, or even the third task that you add. So practicing focusing on one thing at a time is a really powerful technique. Other things to do are visualization, for example. So perhaps you take a few minutes out and just envision yourself being in a calm, relaxed place. Another way that you can use visualization powerfully is to envision, for example, if you're doing a procedure or you're having a difficult conversation that's coming up, or something important, to kind of visualize it and walk your way through it ahead of time. That's been shown to be very powerful, in not only in terms of preparing you mentally and kind of helping to relax you and get you focused for the task that you have at hand, but also it's been shown to improve your performance on that task. So that's completely winning combination. Other things can be mindfulness practices, so meditation, relaxation practices, slowing things down, listening to music can be really helpful. How about just taking some downtime and not doing anything, not filling the time in with even a visualization or trying to focus your mind on something. One quick technique is just looking out the window, focusing on something like the tree outside your window, and then kind of letting your focus soften and let your mind just quiet down and drift. So give those things a try. Let's move on to the spiritual dimension, creating vitality and renewal in the spiritual dimension of personal energy, which is connecting with your heart and with things that are larger and greater than ourselves to create more internal balance. Those things can include quiet contemplation, renewing our purpose, meditation, prayer, gratitude practices. Living your core values can be a spiritual practice. Spending some time finding out what is important to you, and just spending some time verifying or reaffirming that you are living on purpose, that you are living your core values. Other things that can renew us can be intuition. Tying into our intuition, our sixth sense, can be really renewing when you're feeling all frazzled and like, where am I going and what am I doing? What does this all mean? Being able to quiet and to tune into that intuition, into that sixth sense, can create a great deal of personal energy in the spiritual realm. Creating more vitality and renewal in the physical dimension is focusing on your body to decrease stress in the body. One of my favorite techniques is diaphragmatic breathing. So that's taking slow, deep breaths using your diaphragm. A quick way to learn this technique is to put one hand on your chest and put one hand on your belly. And as you're breathing in, focus on breathing through your belly and moving your hand in and out. As you all know, most of you from being physicians, that it actually creates a physiologic response where it stimulates the vagus nerve, stimulates acetylcholine production, slows down your heart rate, and helps to literally relax and decrease stress in your body. Sleep, super important. We actually talked with, on the podcast, Dr. Roger Washington, who's an expert on sleep, and we all know that sleep is rejuvenative, and probably most of us don't get enough sleep. So, hey, how about if we can put down what we're doing, turn off the light, and go to sleep a little earlier, because we know naps and sleep can create a lot more energy when we wake up. Sometimes taking a nap can feel so amazing. Other things, exercise, vigorous exercise or walking. We've kind of already talked about that. How about healthy meals and snacks? So eating more healthy. The young Dr. Yaros and I talked about that, as well as Dr. Mason and I on the podcast and other episodes, where eating healthy is so important in order to create more energy in our body. Another thing that's really important that can be another way of increasing your personal energy in the physical dimension is just notice your energy level. Where are you? Do you need to take a little rest? Do you need to take a break? Are you feeling fatigued? Paying attention to that, making it a priority in and of itself can give you more energy. Another thing to do is to take brief but regular breaks during the day. So a lot of us are type A. We tend to really push it. I'm certainly guilty of that. Scheduling regular breaks into your day, maybe at the top of the hour, try and take a 5-minute break. It's recommended that you try and take these breaks like every 1 to 2 hours. Take a little walk around, or go in your office and shut the door and do that technique I told you about where you just look out the window and then soften your focus. Take some deep breaths. To continue to push ourselves until we're just exhausted is the antithesis of increasing our energy. So scheduling these breaks in can be really, really useful. And last but not least, creating more vitality and renewal in our lives in the emotional realm. So that's being aware of your emotional state, for one, putting a little attention and focus on it. So are we feeling angry, anxious, irritated? Are we feeling relaxed? Are we feeling hopeful? Are we anticipating something? What is going on with us? And be aware of that. And if we're having negative emotions, to let those, to diffuse those and let those go away. And then fueling positive emotions. This sounds very, very basic, but it has such impact on what our day looks like. So being aware of where we are emotionally and letting our negative emotions be diffused so you can You can envision them floating away on a leaf, or saying, I appreciate self-talk, right? So I appreciate how you're feeling, and this is not serving me right now. These feelings, these emotions are not serving me, and what could be serving me better? And looking for something positive, whether it be something small or something big. But the idea is to try to get rid of the energy and the negativity that goes with those negative emotions, so that we can uplift ourselves and feel more personal energy. I would invite you to choose something. First, choose a dimension of personal energy, so the social, mental, spiritual, physical, or emotional, and write that down. Commit to it, doing it more often. Commit to it for the next 2 weeks. For the next 2 weeks, I'm going to eat healthier meals, for example. Or for the next 2 weeks, I'm not going to listen to the news on my way to work. I'm going to listen to my favorite jams from when I was in high school, or whatever it might be. The key is to bring more play, more joy, and more energy into your life. And I have found that this really has helped me a lot, and I hope it helps all of you. So until next time, thank you so much. Let me know what you think about this new format and about what we've talked about today. You can email me at Dianne at Ansari-Winn.com. You can find me on my website there, same name, Dianne Ansari-Winn.com. Also, check out the website at the Physician Vitality Institute. Until next time, guys, it's been great teaching you about these techniques, teaching you about energy management. Choose something, go with it, and let me know what you chose and how you did with it, and I'd love to hear from you. So until next time, you all, take good care.
You've been listening to the Doctor's Life Podcast with Dianne Ansari-Winn, MD. Go to www.dianneansari-winn.com to read show notes, listen to past episodes, share your comments and show ideas, and pick up your free PDF and video of easy and proven strategies that will melt your daily stress away. That's www.dianneansari-winn.com.